there was football that happened last night. 5 games to be exact.
The football was played.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and kind of run through them. We'll start with the lowest classification here. Stratford and Albany. Stratford came out 35-14 and beat Albany in a game that's the only game that I missed so far on my picks.
Yeah, so Stratford pulled away in the second half. This was a close game. It was 17-14 at the half, and then Stratford totally dominated in the second half. Cody Rennie, he's been the guy getting it done for the Elks all year, and they took care of business, and they're playing in their first state championship since, I believe, 2008. So representing for the Texas Panhandle. I believe they're the last Texas Panhandle team standing. So we will have some representation in Texas Panhandle. And if you do not know where Stratford is at on a map, it is way up there in the Panhandle.
Yeah,
like it's closer to Kansas than it is in Amarillo.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, it's pretty far north. Pull up Google Maps and look up Stratford, Texas, and it's a long way north.
Wild.
So congrats to Coach Lovern and the Elks. We will see you in Arlington next week.
Yeah, exciting stuff there. And then 2A Division I matchup, which we have our state championship set now, as the game we were at last night. We'll go with Holly and Marlin first in what a defensive slugfest that was.
It was a slug. First off, great crowd in Weatherford. Awesome atmosphere. It was
awesome.
A big crowd. Both communities showed up in a big way.
Shout out Marlin's band.
Marlin's got a great band. Holly had a huge, Holly's Marlin. The visitor side at Weatherford's not that big, so they filled it up. Holly didn't quite fill up Weatherford's home side. Weatherford's got a really big home side.
It's massive.
And Holly probably had 3/4 of it full.
Yeah.
So great turnout for them. The Bearcats. I thought the key in this game was their defense. They really contained the speed of Marlin. Other than Marlin breaking off that one big pass play on a screen, Holly's defensive line really got after the Marlin quarterback. They forced 4 turnovers. And, Coach Torres told me pregame, hey, we have to play mistake-free football in order to win this game. Marlin didn't play mistake-free football. Nope. They turned it over 4 times. They had, I think, 14 penalties, and I think 8 or 9 were pre-snap.
Man.
There was one defensive offsides that was just a killer. They had Holly on their own 1-yard line, 2nd and 10.
Yep.
And it was like 4 minutes left in the game. And if you can get a stop there and force a punt, you're gonna have the ball the chance to go win the game with great
and the
field
safety.
position.
I mean, they almost had they could have gotten a safety right there.
Yeah.
And it was like that would have made up for the 2 failed
2-point conversions.
2-point conversions, because Holly kicked it. Marlin never kicked an extra point.
Yeah.
So that could have done that, and then you get the ball back with 4 minutes left, and it was a totally different ball game if that wouldn't have happened.
And that defensive offsides turned a 2nd and 10 into a 2nd and 5.
Got him out of the end zone.
And then now Holly's out from now they can open. They're on the 6. They can open the offense up a little bit. They don't have to be so conservative on their 6.
And he converted.
And they got a first down.
And that Marlin
that ended the game basically.
Yeah, that Marlin defensive line did a really good job of getting into the backfield as well. So it was like that was their opportunity to get that.
So, but credit to Holly. Deontay Ramon was a great player last night. He's a receiver, and he moved to running back last week when Holly's running back got hurt and is out for the year. So Deontay Ramon comes in and plays running back, does a great job on the defensive side of the ball. A real player for the Holly Bearcats. But so they're Holly didn't. Their first playoff appearance was 2005. They never made the playoffs until 2005, and they didn't have their first playoff win in school history until 2013. And now they're playing for a state championship. So credit to Coach Mitch Abels and that coaching staff. The Bearcats are headed to their first ever state championship game. That
was really cool. I grabbed him as soon as he was done high-fiving his players last night to grab an interview for Bally, and it was one of those, like, when I asked the question, Coach, you just punched your ticket to AT&T Stadium, and that was, like, the first time that I always love doing that because that was, like, the first time that I saw him go, like, he finally took a deep breath and it sunk in, so that was really cool.
It's a cool way to put it, too, when you say, like, yeah, you just punched your ticket to AT&T Stadium instead of, like, oh, yeah, you're going to state. Like, it's a cool way to kind of put it.
I think in the moment they don't have time to process it because they're just celebrating with their kids.
Right.
They just, to
it's
the coaches,
another win to them.
They won a ball game, yeah.
He goes, I was stressed.
Yeah, I don't blame him. If I was the coach in that game, I would have been stressed as well. Yeah. It was a very good competitive football game.
It really was. And then they will be taking on the Shiner Comanches. And shout out to the Timpson Bears. Shiner ended up pulling out 35-28. They pushed Shiner more than anyone has pushed Shiner this year. And it was, it came pretty much down to it.
Dalton Brooks had to intercept the pass. Timpson had the ball looking to tie the game up, and Dalton Brooks had to come up with an interception. Real credit to Timpson for fighting back from they were down 28-7.
Yeah.
And they fought back and cut it to 7 twice.
They forced some turnover. They forced Doug Brooks to fumble it.
They forced a fumble, and they made Shiner look human, which no one had done all year. So that just shows you how good Timpson was. I think If we were to do a post-mortem state ranking, which we don't do because the bracket speaks for itself, but if Timpson might be the number 2 team. So great effort for Timpson. They lose a really good senior class of 18 players. Most of their skill kids are back next year, so they still will be in the mix because they still have that dude in Terry Bussey. But Shiner, they got a chance to go for a repeat. And if you look at Shiner, if they don't have a meltdown in the fourth quarter of that 2019 Refugio game, they're probably going for a three-peat this week. So, but Doug and Dalton Brooks are special. But this Shiner team around them is solid, and they're only getting better each and every week. So, even though Doug Brooks is graduating, Shiner brings back 16 starters next year. So they ain't going away, guys. They're going to be around next year too.
So that one will be the night game on Wednesday night, and I guess I'll go ahead and put this out there too because Tepper put it out there. It'll be Craig Way on play-by-play, Greg Tepper on color, and then I'll be down there on the sideline. So we're kind of having a little TFT,
what a stacked crew.
And Leslie McCaslin will be on the other sideline, but we're kind of having a little TFT takeover there. So on Valley Sports Southwest,
you love to see it. So and I think in the DCTF booth in the press box, I think it'll be me and Malpal on the
instant reaction
video. Yes,
so
we will.
What's up?
Very excited for that.
My
first instant reaction ever.
We're gonna kill it
for a state championship.
We are pumped. And then finally, one more matchup was set last night, and that was in the 3A Division 1 classification. Brock pulls it out in overtime over Mount Vernon, 35-28, and just. When you want a definition of what you want out of a state championship or a state semifinal game, like, holy cow. What
a game of ebbs and flows. Mount Vernon takes the opening kickoff, goes up 7-0. Brock scores 21 in a row.
Jeez.
They're up 21-7 at the half. And you're thinking, oh, Brock's got this thing under control. Second half comes out, Mount Vernon scores a touchdown, 21-14. Gets an interception, ties it up 21-21. Onside kick, touchdown, it's 28-21 Mount Vernon. You're like, oh, man, Mount Vernon's about to do this thing. And Brock keeps calm, finds a way. They tie the game up, and then they get a break on the field goal. Mount Vernon was kicking a field goal to win the game. The operation of the snap and hold doesn't go well. Goes to overtime. And did you see the play that Brock scored the touchdown on in overtime?
I did not. I called my dad on the way home from the game last night and had him give me like a replay of it.
So Brock takes tight end Nathan Jones, a Minnesota Golden Gophers commit, by the way.
There we go.
He reports in as eligible as he wears number 88, but he lined up at center. He snapped the ball and held for it. It's a legal play. Held the count for a beat and then went out and he was wide open. I'll show it to you on Twitter after the show.
That's wild. I didn't.
If you find it's on social media, but yeah, it was a legal play and scored a touchdown on it. And Brock gets a defense interception on defense and that's ball game.
That was Billy Mathis literally sitting there going, "All right, we've got
apparently
we've got one. Here we go."
What do you call Ward Fasold? What's Ward's nickname?
Wade.
#
Wade approved.
According to Wade, Brock had been working on that play since August and had been sitting on it all year.
Oh, yeah. And
so
that's
credit to Coach Mathis and the Brock coaching staff for been sitting on it for slow burn there for 15 weeks, but they pulled it out at the right time and got it done. So
practice it every single. That's one that you practice every single day right before practice ends. And then they will be taking on Lorena because Lorena kind of just handled Lago Vista, to be honest with you. 55-17 was the final score there, but I tweeted it last night. Brock Lorena is a tasty matchup.
It's a banger. Look at Lorena's record. They're 13-2. I wouldn't look too much at that. They've won 13 in a row, and they're one of the hottest teams in the state of Texas. They have I think they've won their 5 playoff games by an average margin of 38 points.
Light work.
I think their closest playoff game was 25 points, and that was in the first round against Hitchcock. I think they beat Hitchcock 53-28, and they have just been a bulldozer over everyone, including Lago Vista took a 7-0 lead early in this game, and I'm like, oh, here we go, Vikings. Let's see what's happening. Yeah, not so much. It was 42-14 at the half. Lorena, Jaden Porter, Rhett Hansen, their quarterback whose name escapes me. This is a loaded Lorena team. They're a complete ball club, really good up front, really good on special teams as well. I think Lorena and Brock is going to be an absolute banger on Thursday afternoon.
And that's the second game?
It's the middle game on Thursday, So I think that's going to be just an absolute banger of a football game. So looking for, I'm excited about our Wednesday night game with the 2 15-0 teams playing, and then I think Thursday's game is going to be a banger. The middle game with Brock and Lorena. So far our 10 state title games and 11-man are off to a good start.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So there it is, just a little bit of cleanup from the 5 games last night. We be we've got 10 tonight and then 5 on Saturday. So we'll be watching all those. And you're going to Sock tonight?
Yes, I'm going out to
game?
Abilene to see a little. I'm going to see history for sure.
Regardless,
because, either Lubbock Cooper or South Oak Cliff is going to play for their first state championship. So super excited. I actually talked to Sock defensive coordinator Kyle Ward on the way in. Sock left at 10 o'clock this morning, so they're on their way.
Did you see his tweet this morning?
No, I didn't see
Kyle
Ward's
tweeted
tweet.
out, and he was like, nothing better than a police escort through the hood, and he did the art thing, and I was like, man, I love that guy.
Nice. So, yeah, he said they're going to get to Abilene early and get the kind of go through, because this is South Oak Cliff's first road trip. I mean, they don't get out of the city much because all their games are in the city.
Right.
So
and Lubbock Cooper is a team that is used to traveling.
Yeah, so they're getting out there early. I think they're going to do a walkthrough at Shotwell and then go grab something to eat and then get to the stadium and kind of go through their normal pregame stuff.
Good.
So,
Good.
Yeah, so
that'll be fun.
Should be a fun game tonight.
You got a lot of media brethren out there, too.
I do. Our good buddy Mike Roach and Guy Frazier. Hello, Guy.
Hi, Guy.
Guy Frazier will be at the game, so a shout-out to them. Mrs. Frazier, Guy's mother, is supposedly baking some cookies for the crew. So
that was one of the questions in the comments. So
go.
Big time.
There you go.
Well, we had a question about
answer.
cookies in the comments.
Yeah, someone just said a Stepp getting cookies tonight.
I'm hoping so. 'Cause I don't like dessert very much. I'm not a big dessert guy, but chocolate chip cookies that's my weakness.
You can tear it up.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.